The street is quiet. The date is October 22nd, 2025. It has been years since the world learned its name, Seymour Avenue. It looks like any other street in a Cleveland suburb. Houses sit close together, manicured lawns stretch to the sidewalk, trees stand guard, their leaves turning with the season. Children's bikes lean against porch railings. Everything appears ordinary, but we know now that appearances can hide the most terrible truths. One house on this street held a secret. A decade-long nightmare unfolded behind its locked doors. No one seemed to know. Yet, inside 2207 Seymour Avenue, time stood still. The peaceful facade of a working-class neighborhood hid a private hell. 3 young women vanished. Their names became a sad refrain in Cleveland: Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, Gina DeJesus. Each had a life brimming with possibility before it was stolen. Michelle was a young mother, just 21, with dreams of her own. Amanda was a teenager, days shy of her 17th birthday, working at a local fast food restaurant. Gina was just a girl, a 14-year-old. Missing posters soon papered the city. Families held vigils. They pleaded with the public for information. Leads went cold. The city searched. The years stretched into a decade. The posters faded under the sun and the rain. For the families, the waiting was a constant, open wound. They celebrated birthdays with heartache. They were Cleveland's lost girls, never forgotten. From the outside, the house on Seymour Avenue looked like any other. But inside, a different kind of life unfolded, a secret world built on a foundation of fear. For nearly a decade, this was the entire universe for Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina DeJesus. Held captive by Ariel Castro, they were prisoners in a war of psychological attrition. He controlled every aspect of their existence: what they ate, when they slept, and whether they saw the light of day. Sunlight was a rare visitor, a taunting reminder of the world just beyond the boarded-up windows. Their world shrank to the 4 walls of that house, a suffocating space where time itself seemed to warp. Freedom was a sound they could hear. Children playing, cars passing, but not touch. Days blurred into a monotonous cycle of survival. Castro subjected them to unspeakable violence, attempting to break their spirits. He tried to erase their identities, their very humanity, stripping them of their names and their pasts. But even in the deepest darkness, they resisted. This was not just about endurance, it was an active rebellion of the soul. They held on to who they were, sharing memories of their families and favorite songs in hushed whispers. They developed their own coded language, a shield against their captors' control. They lived in constant vigilance, studying Castro's habits, learning his routines, and waiting for an opportunity. Every turn of a key in a lock sent a wave of dread, signaling his return. The nights were long. He ruled the house with an iron fist. Yet, in the quiet moments he was gone, they were not just victims. They were strategists in a war for their minds. Then, a new light emerged in the darkness. Amanda Berry gave birth to a daughter. She was more than just a child. She was a tangible reason to fight, a promise of a future that had to be reclaimed. On May 6, 2013, the day began like any other on Seymour Avenue. The street was quiet, the houses still. But inside number 2207, a decade of silent suffering was about to reach its breaking point. For the 3 women held captive, it was just another day of enduring the unimaginable. But today, their captor, Ariel Castro, would make a single, critical mistake. After he left the house, Amanda Berry noticed something extraordinary. An inner door, a barrier that separated her from the main house, was not fully latched. It was a sliver of an opportunity she hadn't seen in 10 years. In that moment, a decade of fear warred with a desperate surge of hope. She seized the chance, running to the main front door, a barrier she had not touched in years. It was locked, but it was a connection to the outside world. She screamed, she kicked, she pushed with all her strength, her cries for help shattering the neighborhood's calm. A neighbor, Charles Ramsey, was eating dinner when he heard the commotion. At first he thought it was a domestic dispute, but the sheer terror in the screams compelled him to investigate. He approached the house and saw a hand frantically waving through a crack in the door. Without hesitation, he helped her kick in the lower panel, creating an opening just big enough to crawl through. Amanda crawled into the daylight, clutching her 6-year-old daughter, who had been born in captivity. She was free. She ran to a neighbor's porch and frantically called 911. The dispatcher, trying to understand the unbelievable story, listened as Amanda's trembling voice delivered the words the world had waited a decade to hear.
I'm Amanda Berry. I've been kidnapped, and I've been missing for 10 years. And I'm here. I'm free now.
Within minutes, police descended on the address. Amanda's call had electrified the dispatch center, and officers raced to the scene, their urgency palpable. They swarmed the property, securing Amanda and her child, but their work was far from over. Amanda told them there were other women still inside. Officers prepared to breach the house, not knowing what horrors waited for them. They entered and found Michelle Knight and Gina DeJesus. After years of being erased from the world, they were finally seen. The news spread like wildfire. The quiet suburban street was transformed into the epicenter of a global media event. The world watched, captivated, appalled, and ultimately relieved. The lost girls of Cleveland had been found. The dramatic rescue on Seymour Avenue ended one unimaginable nightmare. But for the 3 women who emerged into the light, it also began a long and profoundly difficult journey. The silence was broken, but the echoes of their trauma would linger. In the immediate aftermath, arrests were made. The man responsible, Ariel Castro, was brought to justice, finally facing the consequences for a decade of cruelty. The world watched, demanding answers and accountability. But for Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina DeJesus, the path forward was far more complex than any headline could capture. They were no longer just names on missing posters, they were survivors, tasked with the monumental challenge of rebuilding their lives from the ground up. They had to heal from deep physical and psychological wounds, navigating the labyrinth of post-traumatic stress. Every day presented new hurdles, from confronting memories to rebuilding trust in a world that had once failed to protect them. They had to learn to live with freedom again, a concept that was now both a gift and a burden. Simple choices, like what to eat or when to walk outside, were skills that had to be relearned. The quiet of an empty room could feel as unnerving as the noise of their captivity. Surrounded by a storm of media attention, they chose to share their stories on their own terms. Through memoirs, interviews, and powerful advocacy, they took control of their own narratives, refusing to be defined by their victimhood. Their voices became a lifeline, raising awareness for other missing persons and helping to fund resources for fellow survivors. They ensured that others would not be forgotten in the shadows. The case forced a reckoning across Cleveland and beyond. It was a brutal lesson in community vigilance, a reminder to pay attention, to check on your neighbors, to look out for one another. Their story redefined courage. It is not only a loud act of defiance in a single moment. It is the quiet, stubborn will to survive one more day, and then one more, and then to choose to live the day after that. In the face of absolute hopelessness, their collective hope refused to be extinguished. They survived the unimaginable, and in doing so, gave a powerful, resonant voice to countless others who had suffered in silence. They reclaimed their names, their stories, and their futures. They were no longer the lost girls of Cleveland. They were Michelle, Amanda, and Gina, authors of their own lives. After a decade of forced silence, the world finally heard them not as victims, but as victors. Their journey proves that even in the deepest, most suffocating darkness, a single voice once freed can find its way back to the light and inspire the world.